Got here is the Zoom F6, relatively new field recorder, multi-track field recorder. So I figured I'd do a kind of unboxing, but mostly a walkthrough of the physical features as well as the menus. Kind of an unboxing, I'm saying, is because I've actually opened this already and played with it. But I've got all the boxes and all the manuals and everything, so I'll show you what's inside, what you'll expect when you open the box. So as I said, manuals, your quick start manual, fun stuff for all the people that read manuals. Some less fun stuff about, this is interesting actually. It's download information for maybe I should block off the bottoms here. Download information for Waveable LE and for Cubase. I've never used either of those, but hey, they give it to you free. So interesting software, helps you mess around and clean up your audio, make it all nice. Battery handling, startup guide. Yeah, really exciting stuff about imports to the EU, warranty card, and why you shouldn't throw away the Zoom recorder, or how not to throw it away and how to properly throw it away. Fun stuff. So now the real main event here. Fun stuff here. We've got the batteries. Can't operate the thing without some kind of battery power, but we'll get more into that either. Batteries, AA. Just takes 4 AA to operate. Then, as I said, the main event. The Zoom F6 in all its glory. I love it. I love the size and shape of this thing. It feels really rugged. Aluminum made. It's got the rails, which are awesome. I was going to attach some straps here to kind of hold it, but I then decided to get an additional chest harness specifically made for the Zoom F6, and you'll see that in another video. But really cool thing. It works great together with it. But yeah, I like really the design of this whole thing. I think it's really well thought out for ergonomics, and we'll get more into it in a minute. Final thing though, again, the reason I like the size and the shape of this thing, it comes with a bracket. So you can add that on and makes your DSLR shooting a lot easier if you're the one-man band type. Screw that on the top. Got the 1/4-20 thread on the bottom, so screw that into your tripod, your camera on top here. You've got it all set up, ready to go. So good stuff, smart design. I'm glad that they threw that in optionally. Really helping out the one-man band types. But I think it's also really cool just to use as a personal separate recorder, separate from the camera. But again, it gives you the options for what you can do with it. So here we go. Here we have the recorder. I'll just give you a quick view of all the things around the outside here. So I've got the screw thread for standard screwing into tripods and what have you. Battery door here with a thumb screw for getting into the AA batteries. And here's the little battery sled, comes right out, takes the 4 AA's. I haven't used the AA's to power this, and my experience with AA powered field recorders, typically the Tascam recorders, is the batteries get eaten up pretty quickly. So if I had to guess, I would say maybe you get an hour with 4 AA's on here, but that's just me guessing. The really cool thing about this is this takes LP batteries from Sony LP batteries, plug it right into the back. You can go for 6-8 hours. I've got some of the big beefy ones, which are awesome. No worries when it comes to how much time you're recording. Before I plug this into it, here's also where the SD card slot is. This tiny door here. Takes one SD card right in the back. Very cool. So now we got the battery plugged in. Look at the side here. This is where the power button is. Turn that on. Get the Zoom loading screen here. The Zoom logo. Telling us which version it is. And the main screen. This is where you'll monitor all the audio levels, things like that. See your time code, your running time, battery level, all that good stuff. Before I get into the menu, we'll still keep looking at what this thing has to offer. So as the name suggests, with the F6 XLR inputs, 3 on the side here, 3 on the other side here. Also, we have the computer interface, the USB Type-C, which can be used to power the device and to send audio signal out to the computer to record there. So with this, you can record all your 6 tracks internally, as well as redundantly 6 tracks into your computer. You can actually record also, so that's 12. You got the 12 tracks there, then 2 stereo tracks with a total of 14 tracks total that you can record at once. Also on the side here, we have the line out. Again, this is good if you're the DSLR shooter, you've got it all mounted together. You can just have that, use this output with a 3.5 millimeter jack right into your camera mic setting, and you've got that 1 unit kind of setup for audio and video. So very cool in my opinion. I've done that a lot with, I typically have used like a Juice Link for that kind of stuff. And I think it works great when the situation's right. Here we have the Bluetooth adapter port here. I don't have that adapter. That's something extra you have to buy. But with that, then you can control this thing and monitor with it on your smartphone or what have you. Smartphone, tablet, things like that. So very cool in my opinion. Let's go around to the other side here, then we'll go around to the front. Other side, we have the power button, which I've already used. Headphone in jack, and your dial here for just headphone volume. Doesn't have anything to do with the levels of the gain that's on the front here. Then your time code in and out, which is also really cool in my opinion. Very, very important for just syncing up with your audio and video if you're syncing separately. And it's really cool that this device here can create its own time code, which not a lot of devices before this device have been able to do that for this price. So really cool in my opinion. Just makes syncing a lot easier. And that's what it's all about, just making your life easier so you can focus on the creative stuff and not really worry about the techie stuff and just the typical obstacles. So we've got the front here now. I'll go into this a little bit. 6 fader knobs, clearly labeled for which input they are, and the labels for each input are on the side here. So just really smartly put together, very, very easy to use. Also easy to use are the menu buttons. So I've got top left here is the main menu button, and the check mark button here for confirming any of your selections, and then the up and down arrows for navigating through the menu area. Bottom here is where you have the record button right in the center here, dead center. And I'll hit it later because right now it won't show if we're recording, but lights up red. And you've got also have then a red bar at the top, so you know that you're recording. They make it really foolproof. Then when you hit stop here on the left, all that goes away, and you know you're not recording. Then your playback button here. Oops, and looks like I'm playing something back right now. So you can tell it worked. It actually is working. I was recording something in the input 1. Okay, let's stop that. So now let's plug in a mic and we'll show you how it works. So get my XLR cable. I think first I'll plug in the Rode NTG2. Okay, Rode NTG2. This is a battery-powered Rode shotgun microphone. And because it's battery-powered, you don't want to have phantom power on. This thing can do phantom power or not. So let's see. Check. 1, 2. I need to turn. We'll get to phantom power later. Let's see. I'll put it in. I probably have phantom power on in channel 2. That's why it wasn't showing up. Check. 1, 2. Check. Okay, yeah. So if you can see, check. 1, 2. Yep. Recording fine, or picking up the audio fine. You can see that the channel is lit up, that we're using channel 2 here. Audio bar is moving up and down, so it's clearly picking something up. And if we hit the record button, see that the button itself is lit up in red. Then we've got our time indicator here for how long we've been recording across the top. Very easy, very simple to use. And when you listen to the files, very clean audio. So great device here. Now I'll plug in a phantom-powered audio microphone, shotgun mic. Let's do the Rode NTG3. Okay, the Rode NTG3. Excellent microphone here. Really clean audio out of this thing. Beautiful audio paired with the low noise preamps that you'll get in the Zoom F6. You'll get some noise-free audio here. Let's turn channel 1 on. Turn up our fader here. Check. 1. Check, check, check. And yes, we've got the audio picking up again here because I've got phantom power on. So I'll lead us into that there, where I'll show you how to turn phantom power on, because that's the most common thing that I've been doing currently using this. And I think I'm going to maybe set some shortcuts in the future, or perhaps just have maybe the 3 on the side here will be without phantom power, and the 3 on the side here with. I mean, it just really depends on the way I'll be shooting and what kind of mics I'll have. But I think those are the easiest solutions. But anyway, so I'll back out. Okay, let's go into the menu here. Just make sure we can see it all right. So now that we're getting more into the menu, I'll get the camera. Let's get the camera in a little closer. And make sure I don't knock the camera over. Or knock into anything. Okay. How's that look? Can we see it all right? Yeah, I think so. I think so. Okay, yeah, so to turn the phantom power on or off, go into the menu. I'll go down to input, check input. PFL, we want to go into that. Pick our input, so let's go with input 1 that we're in. Go down to source. Then you can choose the source mic. So we have mic PH, meaning phantom power, line PH, and USBs 1 through 4. So let's keep ours on mic phantom power. Now I'll go through just the general menu here. At the very top is the Finder section. The Finder section. This is just navigating through what's on the SD card. The files you've recorded, the files on it, things like that. So let's see, let's click on this one. Let's select it. Select it. Listen to it. Maybe not. So we can listen back. See, it lights up green when we're listening back. And I haven't deleted anything from here yet. But let's see. Maybe you can't. Maybe you cannot delete anything from here. I haven't tried because I usually don't delete anything from my field recorder when I'm in the middle of production. But you can at least listen back. So that is, let's see, that is okay. That is the Finder menu. Okay, input. That's where we were before. Whoops. Okay, let's go back to the input menu. I must mention that because it's so compact, sometimes you are knocking into things. Like I've knocked the volume rocker here a couple times, but I'll take that over having just a bigger unit. I like having things that are small, lightweight, just more mobile altogether. I mean, just the idea that this can just be really compact and fit on to a tripod or just moved around easily outweighs having, in my opinion, having a bigger, clunkier field recorder. So yeah, now we are in the input settings. So we've gone through the PFL settings. Next down we have the phantom settings, phantom power settings. You have your voltage choices, which most mics with phantom power are 48, but you also have the option for 24. Power saving, I turn that on. It really just kind of cuts the phantom power out when you're not using it. So I figure why not? It works completely fine, doesn't really affect any of your usage or anything. Now we have our input and trim linking settings. So you can kind of designate things that you want to be mono or stereo, and also set up settings for ambionic sonics, which is awesome. Or ambisonics, which is recording 3D audio, essentially. Audio that would be used for virtual reality or augmented reality, where you're recording audio from all these different sources. So when you focus in on a different one, it feels like you're actually there when you're listening to it. So it's really cool. I haven't done any ambisonic recording, but I really like the idea of it, and hopefully I will now that I've got this. In addition to some other cool things that this thing does, before I continue on, we'll mention it, or we'll get into the specifics later, but the coolest thing, in my opinion, about this device here is each input has dual AC adapters, which is analog to digital adapters. Because you have two of them, there are offset, if that makes sense. They are arranged so that they can capture both the low quiet settings, the low quiet inputs from the microphone, as well as the high noisy signals that are coming from your microphone. Because there are two of them and they are offset like that, they can record the full dynamic range of your microphone. That, combined with the other killer feature here, which is the 32-bit float, you can capture and utilize the full dynamic range of your microphone and selectively utilize the recording that you get from it. So if something is too quiet, because you have that 32-bit float, you can bring up the audio with very little noise. And also for the high end, for something that's very loud, you can turn down how loud it is. So in use here, you really don't have to worry too much about your fader knobs, about setting the gain. You still want to use appropriate audio recording practices. You can't just set your mic across the room and say, oh, the 32-bit float will save us. We don't have to worry about having good mic placement or anything. It's not like that, but it gives you a greater latitude to work with for using audio, which I think is amazing. You're capturing the full capabilities of your mic. Then you have that 32-bit float buffer area to work within, which I think is amazing. I frankly wasn't even thinking that as an option. I'm not an audio guy per se, but I always assumed that, yeah, you're going to have somebody running audio, and depending on what the situation is, they're going to just have to be riding the dials here, tuning it right the right way so everything's captured perfectly. But this, you can be a little bit more lax with that. I think it's awesome. It's giving you the full abilities of the audio that you could capture. So we'll get off that topic, but it's really just the most important feature, in my opinion, that this thing has to offer. So we looked at input link. We'll continue on now with the menu here. Let's go to trim And you can set your trim link settings, but I don't want to do that. Let's go back out after the link settings. Audio mix settings. You can turn on and off your mix inputs. I don't really use this as an audio mixer, but I believe that any studio recording individuals, people that would use it in that capacity, I think this would really benefit them, and they would certainly enjoy it. Next down, we have the track knob selections here. So you choose reference level and record level. And that is all our choices for input. Now output, you can set your headphone output, kind of how you want to hear each line, each channel in a mix. Digital boost, which is just boosting what you're hearing, not really boosting the gain levels. Volume curve, and your alert volume. Next we have the line out settings. So you can set your levels for left and right. Routing sections, again, kind of a mix of the levels. Oops, I don't want to mess with that. Your limiter settings. But which I find interesting is if you're shooting, if you're capturing with the 32-bit float, you don't have to worry a lot about the limiter settings because you're capturing the full availability of the audio. But if you're not shooting 32-bit and you still want to limit something, if it's too loud, this can then kind of dampen that sound in a in a way that doesn't just clip it and cut it off. That's the reason you have the limiter. It kind of shrinks the audio down when it gets too loud in a way that makes sense and is pleasing to listen to. Let's see, and according to that, or with that, you can set the threshold level where it starts to shrink down, the attack time, which is when it starts to shrink down something that's too loud, the release time when it lets go of that shrinking, and then the link on or off. Well, let's go back out here. Delay, which I've never really messed with that. You're delaying the line out. I'm not sure what situation you'd use that, but it's an option. Okay, record settings. So here we have it, 32-bit float. I always want to keep that on. Wish there was a way I could just kind of lock that setting, but I'm not really going to go in here and mess with it. You also, though, have the options for linear 16-bit, linear 24-bit, dual 16 and 32-bit float, as well as dual 24 and 32-bit float. When you utilize these, it will shrink down your kilobits per second. You won't get the highest quality, but they're still pretty high. I forget the numbers exactly. I believe with 32-bit float, it's 92 kilobits per second, whereas then it's less when you're on the dual. I forget the numbers exactly. I could grab the manual here, but that might be a little bit too. Excuse me. Take a little bit too much time of me sifting through it. Okay, well, yes, here we go. Right under the mode here, we have the sample rate. Yeah, 96 kilohertz. That is what is the highest quality that it can record at. So yeah, let's set that. I don't have it set on that for the sample rate. I think I said bits a minute ago. I'm kind of more of a video guy in my technology, my terminology training. But yes, the 96 kilohertz. File format. So here we have poly and stereo mono. Keep it on poly right now. Metadata, here's where you can add notes, scene names, track names, things like that. Really interesting. maybe I should start doing this. I've never really added metadata, notes, things like that. During a production, I feel like it's just so chaotic, but I could really be helpful if you have a good scene. You say, hey, mark that in the recorder. That could be very beneficial. I just haven't done it yet because I know you can do it with the F6 here. You can do it with the Black Magic. I believe with my GH5 here, I believe you can maybe rate every clip, give it a rating. I'm not sure if you can add a note. I don't think so. But anyway, this is about the F6. You can have your left and right track fader settings, your pre-record settings. So since I have it on 96 kilohertz, we have a 3-second buffer time for pre-recording. So when you hit that record button, it will actually capture 3 seconds before that, which I think is really neat. If you weren't thinking, or you were not paying attention, that could save you by a couple seconds. And actually, here, let's turn it to 48 kilohertz, which is perfectly fine and acceptable. 96 could be overkill, but oftentimes I like to go for the highest, because why not? Highest quality, why not? Let's go now back to the buffer, or to the pre-recording settings. It'll give us 6 seconds. So a little bit of a trade-off there. Do you want more time to save yourself in case you were slow on hitting the record, or do you want the higher sample rate? So up to you to decide. Timecode. Next, we're going to go to Timecode. I really can't wait to use this. I love the idea of just being able to make syncing more easy. So we have our modes here. Off. Internal free run means it's a continuously running clock. Internal record run, it only runs when hitting the record button. Internal RTC run, I forget what that is exactly. Internal RTC run. I'll have to look that up. Then your external settings. So I'm going to keep it on internal free. Internal free. Timecode out. You can have it on always or record only. I believe then we have our frames per second syncing. So I typically shoot at 24 frames a second, so we'll set it there. But got the whole choices for 23.976, 24, 25, 29.97, 29.97 ND and 29.97D, 30 ND, 30D, and those are all the choices there. Okay, jam. This is for kind of telling the device and the camera or whatever you're sending out the timecode level to. It gets everybody on board and all synced up together, forcing the syncing with the jam button. So jam it. Should we restart it? Let's restart this guy. Restart it. Okay. So we just restarted it. I feel all jammed already. So we restarted and we jammed. U-bits. So you can set the modes for it, the way it wants to read those. You can edit them as well. I'm not going to mess around too much with that. Auto record delay, you can set that. Start time code. And those are all the choices for timecode. Finally, here we have our system settings. Here you can back up your SD card in the SD card setting. So we've got backup settings. So backup or load or delete. I don't want to do either of those, but they are options. Information, this can tell you your free space, your overall SD card space, and what you have remaining as far as time. Performance test, which I think is really cool. Quick test or a full test, which is really interesting. My my opinion. You can just see how quality your SD card is, or at least if it's a pass or failing card. And you can format the thing, which I don't want to do. Nope. USB settings. So there we go. Get the USB linking on. Let's go back, turn that off. USB settings. What other USB settings do we have? Audio interface. Got stereo mix, PC or Mac. Stereo mix iPad. Multi-track, PC or Mac. Very interesting. I'll have to mess around more with that. And FRC8, connect, user key, keyboard types. Not sure what that is. Maybe that's some kind of interface. FRC8. Our Bluetooth settings again for iOS control. Also Bluetooth timecode settings. Very interesting. So we can connect to those. Oh, that's really cool. I really wish I had an iPad or something and the Bluetooth connector to show that off. Our general settings, date and time. Power source settings. So here it's telling us our power options again, like I mentioned. USB, external battery, which I've got the LP, the Sony LP batteries that it takes, or AA batteries. It tells you how much power you have left. You can choose the type. Okay, I can tell what type of battery. I believe this is a lithium, so it's not an alkaline. Lithium. Maybe that'll cut down on audio noise. I'm not sure. I've had other field recorders before that were powered through external USBs, and I don't know if I had the settings wrong or what. Maybe I needed to tell it was powered by USB, but I would get a lot more noise as compared to with having it battery powered, that was the only other choice I had was alkaline battery power. But we'll have to try this out. We'll see if we get any noise when this is powered by USB, because I've had terrible results with USB power in the past. Let's get back to the menu here. Key settings. Play key options. So you can kind of add or change the physical keys settings, which I don't think I want to change any of that yet. Let's see. Keyhold targets. Shortcut list. Okay. Oh, interesting. We'll have to learn these. So some of the shortcut settings, I'll read these if you can't read them off the screen here. Display take, hold the menu button. Scene increments, menu plus enter. Take number, menu plus fast forward. False take, menu plus rewind. Left and right fader edit, enter plus fast forward. Clear clip indicator, enter and rewind. Circle, you hold the fast forward. Headphone routing, just the push the volume. Okay. Huh. Oh, interesting. So I'm toggling through the different headphones. Interesting. Because typically I've only, when using this and testing, ever really had one microphone in. But that's cool. You can toggle between the mic outputs, or as we looked through the menu earlier, you could kind of have a headphone mix. So that's really interesting. Key hold. That's the volume dial. You hold it. Interesting. Okay. So that. Oh, geez, we have even more. Okay, power saving settings. I was thinking that was the end of the settings. Power saving. Got off, on with low backlight, or on with backlight off. Let's see how that looks. I didn't notice a difference. Maybe that's only when it hits a certain level. So I'll have it on the low backlight. LCD brightness. Let's turn that all the way. Okay, so there I see some results here. I mean, that's really helpful depending on the environment that you're shooting in. So we'll keep it on 60. LED brightness. Okay. We'll mess with that right now. Display. Time display. So right now I have it on recording time elapsed. Or we could have it on time remaining. When you're playing back, you have time elapsed, time remaining, and record time reset. Okay. Peak hold time. Choices of off, and then 1 second increments up to 5 seconds and then infinity. Outdoor mode, on or off, which I'm not sure what outdoor mode is, but I'll try to remember to use it when I'm outdoors. Factory reset, don't want to do that. Yeah, get back out of that. Firmware versions, this tells us what our firmware update is at. Language settings, talk through all the language options. And that is everything. So hopefully you guys found this interesting. I find it very, very interesting. I feel like we've been going on for a while now. But, this is an impressive device. And thanks for watching. Subscribe if you find this helpful. And we'll see you next time.